Ooh, here we go. What is going on? This is Celso Oliveira. I'm here with Erik Holstrom, section 128. Another midweek review for you. A very sad show. We said it was either going to be a very happy show or a sad show. We have some business to take care of because we messed up our drawing on the David Martinez card. So we're going to open with that. And then, of course, discuss another elimination for LAFC, this time out of the CCL. So a great show. Erik has something else he wants to announce and give away too. So it's going to be a great 30 minutes. Stay tight, of course, as we do it every time. In the beginning, here's our friends from Fugazi. All right. Thank you so much for everyone that is joining. I go directly to Erik because I know he's got a lot to say. He's got a lot on his chest. We've been texting all day today. Of course, LAFC 0, Toluca 4, LAFC 0, which basically ended our campaign in CCC. Erik, how's it going today, man? I like doing the show a day after, so we had a chance to, at the very least, understand what happened to us, right? A day later versus let's get on the air and get mad. So how you feeling this afternoon, right? Basically a day after we once again lose on a semifinal.
I mean, the whole idea that you're going to sleep on it to try to temper the fury didn't really do it at this point, because I feel like I woke up angrier than I was when I went to bed last night with this game. It was a pretty shocking thing to see from LAFC, and I think it's something big picture that a lot of us thought was a thing of the past with this team. But I felt like this is the same loss in a big game that we've seen over and over, whether it was Dolo or whether it was Bob Bradley. So is this an institutional type of collapse? We will get into that. But before this, we do have a little house cleaning to do from the last show. I did make a big mistake, and I see the names across the bottom for the David Martinez card. Yep. I asked for a number between 1 and 7, and what that did is gave me a number between 2 and 6. So numbers 1 and 7 were never eligible for this, so I have to redo it, which I'll do right now.
But it gave you a number of, it's not between 2 and 6, because that's again you're going to run into the same issue.
A number between 0 and 8.
There we go. Boom! Matthew Zepeda, hermano. Hey. The guy that told us that it was rigged. I think it was the person that actually called this to be an issue. And I mean, it's only fair that the person between 1 or 8 got this. And congratulations, Matthew.
Number 3, reach out to me on Twitter or Celso, put us together. We'll see if we can find out like a consolation prize, because 100%. We announced you winning last time. We don't want you to
100%. You know why? Because it's not your fault, and I endorse that. And absolutely, I will find you something, and it will be in the mail for you. Thank you so much, both of you, for being a supporter and playing. But all right, back to the show. Erik, I understand your concerns. And I feel the same way. By the way, no LAFC gear today for me. I got my 2 other allegiances that are teams that actually win. And I know you got Toluca in there, and I understand it. But today, it's a sign of protest for me. I am not going to wear LAFC gear because they are not worthy of my, I would say, fandom today after that kind of showing. Because as you were saying, Erik, and I want you to elaborate on this, sometimes when you lose, it's not necessarily your fault. And you say, wow, that could have gone either way. What a dog fight. That was not the case, man. LAFC looked scared, and it looked like it did not get off the bus. Your thoughts on the effort and how they lost this game. Again, a beatdown 4-0. It looked good at halftime. I'm like, whoo, we got out of there at 0-0. And it was 4-0 at the end. Horrendous form.
Yeah. A little different. I am wearing this, my Carlos Vela shirt, because Carlos Vela would have never let the team melt down like that in a game. That's one thing to say.
Okay.
At the end of the day, this was just a game I didn't want to see, where the team didn't look like they got off the bus, with the exception of St. Maurice. St. Maurice is the one guy that showed up. So all my criticism here basically goes to everybody except for him. Like,
okay,
he really put in, we would have lost 9-0 if it wasn't for Lloris and the goal. And before, it was just extremely disappointing. I thought that from the starting lineup, and we spoke about this in the last show, because you thought we might have Schaffelberg starting, and I said, no, we need to keep Martinez starting. And you said, I think it's Schaffelberg. And I said, well, this is going to be a huge gamble, because if it works, he'll be a genius. And if it doesn't work, he will be a heel. And it did not work. And I feel like a lot of shine came off of Mark Dos Santos because of last night, with the fan base at least. And it again, this feels like an 8 year regime.
So we're getting a little bit of feedback for that. Go ahead and complete your thoughts.
Yeah. End of the day, and some we'll talk about. To me, this feels like the same old LAFC. That looked like Dolo ball straight up. And, come to think of it, some bad Bradley balls kind of look like Dolo ball too. So maybe just Dolo gets the unfortunate moniker of it. We can call it LAFC ball or JT ball. Things, I don't know. Sorry, I might have just cut out there. But
no, you're good. But let me interject here, because you might not be hearing me really well. If you can hear me. All right. Yeah. So the one thing I'll say about LAFC right now is, yes, we saw a lot of Dolo ball in there, and we did see some things that were from the Bob Bradley era, but not enough to really make a difference, right? To say, wow, this is a brand new LAFC. I agree with that. As far as Schaffelberg playing, which you mentioned earlier, it was kind of expected, just given how well Schaffelberg had played against the Cruz Azul team in the away leg. And I didn't dislike that move necessarily. It was how it was presented to us. First off, you leave David Martinez off your lineup, which I thought it was criminal, given that he has been your greatest chance of goal so far. Second off, you switch Denis Bouanga suddenly in one of the most important games of his career to the other side of the field. How many times have we seen Bouanga playing effectively on the right side of the field? I cannot recall the last time he was effective on the right side of the field. So suddenly you're trying things in the most important time of your life without much more practice, without having to be in play together. And then the trifecta, man, he puts Tim Tillman up top behind Schaffelberg, which I'm like, wait, what? Why would you do that? Why would you not put Tillman centrally? He's got the quality pass, and suddenly he's up top, and we know what he cannot do. He cannot finish. And he skyrocketed something that it was a clear chance that would have put us in control of that game. The game would have changed the narrative. And yes, not only I thought he missed on putting Schaffelberg into this game, but he also made some mistakes in let's try all kinds of different things in a very instrumental time of his career. I'm sorry, of this season, right? It was a little bit of a loony, crazy professor look for him versus like, let's just stick with this, be pragmatic, because this is not the time to fuck around. All right. I agree. We had a little bit of time, but go ahead.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. Seeing Tim Tillman up front, I mean, it's kind of.
I mean, where'd that come from? The guy never played up front. He's not even a forward. Let's put him up forward.
I mean, a couple times, but anyways, look at the first leg. He missed 2 sitters that he should have buried, and he put in a goal that was the hardest of the 3. But he should have had 2 close to tap-ins, and then this last game he does it again. Tim Tillman, with the chances he gotten, should have probably pulled away between 3 and 5 goals, and instead he pulled off 1. They took our midfielder, who is the worst guy with the ball in the final third, and they put him up on the front line. And this is just kind of doomed to failure. Meanwhile, leaving Martinez on the bench. And Martinez has probably been our most impactful player in this whole series, So this was a little bit crazy. And then at halftime, Hollingshead coming in, I understood Schaffelberg had been Schaffelberg ended up playing like a left back, and he was kind of getting rolled over. He looked like a weak link. But if we're bunkering, why wouldn't Segura come in and
Eddie Segura? Thank you. Eddie Segura should have started that game.
That didn't make any sense.
Didn't make any sense to me. Eddie Segura was the start. If the idea was just like, you know what, we're not going to do anything. I think Mark thought we could be a little bit more assertive in the first half, right? And then it backfired on him when Toluca was all over us in the first half. But that was our chance. The first 30 minutes was really our chance to put him on their heels, score a goal, which we almost did, and then change the narrative, which was kind of like what Alajuelense did on the games against us. And one of them, it worked out. So you got to play like, the weaker teams sometimes. And I feel like the ego got the most of us here. And, it did not work. It looked really bad. I know the benches exchanged some harsh words. Mark Dos Santos and Turco Mohamed essentially went at it.
Before let's give me a pause. Let me talk about the Houston tickets for this weekend. I'm going to give away my Section 128 Houston tickets. Everybody who's going to be here, there will be a secret word later in the show. Make sure you are following me on Twitter. Make sure that you put in your YouTube name that you use here, and then whatever the secret word is, I'll announce it later in the show. The first one to give me that correct will get my tickets. The last thing on this, I will send you my tickets within 2 hours of the game starting, just because when I give them away before, sometimes people grab them and resell them, which I'm trying to get you to go to the game as a fan. If you can't go to the game, let somebody who can go to it enter, and that's it. And just know I will be sending you the tickets a little under 2 hours before kickoff. So
all right, yeah, that's it. We're gonna keep giving stuff away.
Let's get to
and
the
there
dancing.
You see it on our ticker, 5'9", on Section 128, which is the reason why we have this show name. Follow Erik on X and subscribe to our show. Again, that's just, if you're here, you should be subscribing anyways, and the tickets will be sent 2 hours before the game. So yeah, thank you, Erik. Erik, again, it's your giveaway, but I feel like if you just say this word once throughout the entire broadcast, you might not get a lot of people to play. So I would throw this thing out there at least 3 to 5 times throughout the next 30 minutes, just so people have a chance to participate. Just my 2 cents, your giveaway. All right, buddy, let's get back to this. And now we're done with the interruptions. We're done with the interruptions in terms of giveaways and such. I'll keep this going in the bottom here so you guys know it's happening. But look, I think it's the time to play the blame game, isn't it? And I know it's something you want him to do. I personally feel it's a slippery slide in situations like this, because slippery slope, I think, in situations like this, because you can, essentially cut it into a 8-piece pizza and give each person a slice. But I do believe it's worth talking about certain people. And, we'll start with the coaching staff, and how much do you think they're guilty of this big elimination? And I think it's worth talking about 180 minutes, right? Rather than just 90, because literally if we had lost 1-0 there playing like ass, we would have lost too, right? So it didn't matter if we lost by 1 or 4 at that time. So let's talk about the last 180 minutes of CCC for LAFC, and how did the coaching staff handle itself through this elimination for Toluca?
Yeah. I think this for me is a much bigger picture than just like making MDS the fall guy, for example. When it comes to, I'd really like to look at the whole front office on this at this point, from Mark Dos Santos to JT to the whole thing, because you got to look at the continuity of the program with this. Mark Dos Santos has been there since day one. He was the guy they put up there instead of going to shoot for a big name, somebody outside the organization, somebody that might come in with different ideas and really shake things up. They kept it safe. They went in-house. They went with the continuity. So is that where some of the issues are? Again, one of the things I saw in this, and this is kind of looking towards more like JT. I love JT, but we got to criticize when we feel like, maybe something got missed here. They talk about continuity of the team, but a lot of these veterans on the team, like Hollingshead, Tillman, Delgado, they've played in these big matches again where it looked like the team didn't get off the bus. And to me, the only player that looked like they got off the bus was Lloris. The rest of them looked like they fell asleep on the bus and just kind of sleepwalked through that game. Fair or unfair, whatever. They're playing at elevation, this and that. A lot of complaining about schedule congestion going up to this match. And we saw players that were dead tired on that field. But these players just played last Saturday.
The Liga MX has the same scheduling concerns. Sure. They played this weekend. They were missing two of their main guys. So I think it's naive to talk about schedule congestion as a way, as a reason for your failure. You know what I mean? So
look, I want to take that off the table is what I want to do. I will say.
Well, the coaching staff said it's a major issue. Is why I brought it up.
No, for sure. And it's a major issue. And how did they handle this major issue is now what I want to look at, For example, right? If you're playing a Wednesday game and a Saturday game and they're both at home, it's a much easier load when you're sleeping in your bed, you're on your routine. Now, in our case, we played our game and then we traveled down there. The game before was on the road as well. So we traveled on the road, traveled home, and then we traveled to the game. That's a lot of time in the airplane. Now, if they're tired and this game is this big, again, why did they even send their first team off to that game? Just fly the LAFC 2 kids out. If you're going to complain about who's doing the schedule, and then you're going to basically...
And then you have a choice to send your Cabrals and all your twos, and then you don't.
You complain about it, and then you go through the motions, which crushes your players. Like
I don't get it.
Yeah, so unless, and there's a lot of behind the scenes, and I'll throw this out. I don't know this. This is kind of hot take tinfoil hat time. I don't know if there's an unspoken agreement in MLS that you're going to roll out your marquee players for games. Like, could they have not even taken Son to Minnesota at all? Like, does he need to make an appearance, much like we see with Messi? Is this part of the deal? Do they need to does Bouanga have to make an appearance on the field in Minnesota? Because I would have left.
I think Bouanga just rather play.
Even so, because he looked tired as well. Well,
Bouanga just doesn't look like himself. And the fact that we tried to experiment him on the other side of the field is a big proof of that. I really believe that we kind of lost. First off, let me reset something here, because now we're going to go to players. We're talking about the coaching, but let's talk about the players and the big guilt, the blame that they have in losing some of these finals. And we talk about execution being very important and almost as important as the coaching. Coaching puts you in a position to succeed. But at the end of the day, these guys need to execute and they need to win, right? And first off, we saw some missed shots by Tillman, and then we questioned the coaching staff by saying, hey, maybe Tillman should not have been the guy finishing the shots because that's not his thing, right? Just like Schaffelberg would immediately cross the ball. That's not the guy that should be putting that last ball in. Maybe it should have been Nathan or Das, which didn't even show up, right? But let's talk about the players collectively, because you and I know that in MLS, if your DPs don't perform, you don't have a chance. You don't have a chance no matter who you're playing. And this time, it was the two DPs against a very good Toluca team, and they did not show up. So let's talk about performance, Eric, of these guys, including Denis Bouanga, which did not show up once again in a big game for us. He's no longer the big game Bouanga that I knew. How much blame do these guys have in not showing up when they have to?
They are who they have showed themselves to be. And when it comes to the big moment, they just cannot push over that edge. I said going into the game yesterday that we were the underdogs, and I maybe gave us a 40% chance to win it. Like, I knew realistically, and Vegas had us as underdogs, that we were most likely to lose this game. But at the end of the day, for me, it's how do we lose the game? And that was almost like crashing out of the Champions Cup last year against Inter Miami, where basically we blow a 3-goal lead in the first leg and lose by 4 in the second leg. and it's the same thing. Like losing is one thing, but there are ways that you can be proud of yourself for how you lose, and there's ways that you should be embarrassed for yourself and how you lose. And LAFC repeatedly loses these games in the embarrassing fashion. So for me, I want to see a house cleaning this summer. Bouanga, Fluminense, I think it's time. I think it's time because
no, it's too late. They just got Hulk. That door has closed. Brazil is an opportunistic place, and they put all their chips in Hulk now, and they brought someone else from South America. That window has closed, and this is why I made an argument that as much as everybody was crying, oh my God, stay away from my guy. Sometimes movement is the best thing for a club, and for a marquee player like Denis, which he's peaked, he's over 30. Maybe the move would have made sense. You cannot get the same amount of money you would have gotten or wanted to have gotten for him now. There's no more of that. Of course. He's no longer the same player he was 6 months ago. He's showing that. And so is Sonny. So what's up with this question? Because Ivan has asked it twice, and he's a son of the he's a friend of the show. But like, again, and that opens up for JT for us to talk about how much blame there is in JT, maybe not understanding that he cannot build a team around Bouanga and then Giroud or Sonny. It looks like it's an A or B, and you got to kind of cater to one or the other. He's got a point. So what do you think of this question?
The only answer to this is Son. Like, we have that guy.
Why? He did not look good, Eric. He looked old, rusty, and I know that he comes with a lot of ifs and buts, but he's old as well, and he has not shown to be the guy we want him to be so far. Meanwhile, we are wondering if Denis Bouanga is going to be at the Ring of Honor right next to Carlos Vela. So why would you choose Sonny?
It doesn't make it like it makes no sense to move on from Sonny. Basically,
there's his answer.
Yeah,
we're not moving on, right? But maybe not moving on because again,
if you're not moving on, you build around your $20 million player for the next 2 years that he's going to be
fair.
here.
Fair enough. So this brings
may
up
not be here for 2 years. I think looking at it and this is a whole other picture of it. There's a lot of players on this team that, in my opinion, we are better off letting move on this summer. And it's obvious, just like with Giroud. The team built around Sonny isn't the team that's going to utilize Sonny in the best way, and he has that quality. This is somewhere, a lot of the new Sonny Korean fans, especially, who have been harping on this, they might have a bit of a point on that because the system doesn't really fit Son. Son makes the best of it. He lots of assists, like he's producing in this system, but is that the best way to produce? Because if he's going to produce assists, that means the goals need to be coming from good areas, and they're not really coming from good, consistent areas. So,
we
need
a matador. We need a guy that can always put the ball in if he's got the ball in his foot. And Denis Bouanga is not that guy. Denis Bouanga is an incredible player, but he's more about the guy that's going to make his own shot and make you say, wow.
With JT, the one thing is, and we know we've spent all of our GAM. We don't have money to sign new players right now. We're tapped out. Igor being injured was tough. Long being injured and coming back at the very end was tough. Eustachio getting injured, coming back at the very end was tough. This is true. Now, if we go, we're up against it, and we have extra GAM because we take the only 2 DP and 4 U22. I will say, MLS obviously has structural problems with the cap right now. We should have a better option than having to put Timothy Tillman up on a wing to produce when he can't score. We should be able to have somebody who can play that position in that role that we can pay another $800,000 a year to come off the bench that we can't because of salary cap.
And this comes from a team that was once winger FC, right? Because like we had so many wingers, like, can you not sign another winger? And we had no wingers to play, right? And I don't even know if we want to play with a winger because we are now advancing our fullbacks to play in the middle of the field, which opens up to another big issue that I have, which is Sergio Palencia is not an attacking player. So if you're going to put in the middle of the field, you're going to lose a tremendous amount of creativity in there in moving that ball forward. He is not that kind of player. So it's nothing against Sergio, but I feel like he's limited in what he can do offensively for us. He's a poor crosser. He really doesn't get past anybody on 1v1. So he's not the effective fullback that I'm looking for. He sort of inherited that position, and he's such a great guy and a solid defender that we're okay with Sergio playing, under the hood, I would say. We don't really think about Sergio. He's always there, but I agree with some of the people that are saying here that our fullbacks have been a disaster for a great period of time. We haven't had quality guys in that very key modern position in football. And, a lot of people want to point to Smoliakov and Hollingshead as the first guys that are going to be out of here, if indeed we're going to go through some sort of overhaul. So now let's move on to JT. How much blame does he have on this? And if you are JT, who are you looking and say, hey, it's been a good run, but we're going to find you a new home because we're tight and we need to basically make some tweaks?
I think, to be fully fair, there's two things for me personally, and this is just my opinion. I think some big moves.
Love your opinion, by the way.
I think some big moves need to get made this summer window. I think there's a lot of stagnation in this roster. Hollingshead and Smoliakov, you said that, yes, I think both of them should be gone. Hollingshead, just because how he is not going to work in the system. We need to now build the system around Son. I think with him, we need to play more of a possession game. And our midfielders need to be more like defensive midfielders and an attacking midfielder, like a 4-2-3-1 to utilize this role the best, or something like that, and go less with the box-to-box midfielders and the counter pressing. I think this doesn't work well with Son. He has too much quality and class, and we need to build guys who can fluidly pass the ball. So Hollingshead, to me, doesn't really work in this system at all. So I think looking at last night, it's just he's not the same Hollingshead in 2022. He's 3 years older than this.
He looks old.
He's lost
slow.
Steps.
And one thing to say about this in the greater scheme of things is you really see how bad these guys are when they're not going against fellow. What's going on? There's something wrong with X, but it's okay. We're gonna keep going here. But when we see him against fellow MLS players, doesn't look so bad. But when you put him against anyone outside of MLS, including Liga MX, you see how much Ryan has lost his tap. And it's concerning to me. I love it that he's still playing for us. Sweetheart deal, right? But that's where I feel the roster constraints that we have really sometimes, I would say, hurt us. You know what I mean? And as a league. So we talked about maybe some of these moves that JT have to do because of roster constraint cannot do, and they don't gel well when you go to Liga MX. So Ryan Hollingshead is what I'm trying to say could be the best we could do. So I'm wondering from you here, is this a league problem? And once again, no final, the final once again with no MLS teams, right? And whether it's LAFC or another team, we could not be more than 2 Liga MX teams on the way to a title. So what gives? Is this time for MLS to realize that, maybe it's time for you guys can have 4 DP and 4 U22s, right? It's no longer 3 DPs and 4 U22s, because it seems like that choice is a bit unfair, in my opinion. You should be able to do both at the same time.
They need to raise the base salary cap from 7 million up to 15 million so that we can cover it with a bunch of guys that make $600,000 to $800,000 a year, and we can have reserves at that. Because currently the reserves we have make like $200,000 a year. I mean, they're barely they're basically blue collar guys, legitimately, they practically need a second job to live in Los Angeles. So that's structurally problematic. And this is not something that JT can do anything about. He has to live with this. So raising the base so we can get more guys like that's what we got to do. So MLS in general with this, I think they have to decide which route. There's 2 routes to go here. One is to become a league that we're going to put money in. We're going to get marquee players from around the world to come here, and we are going to smash competitions on our continent. You know, if we end up doing this, we're going to have a handful of good teams and then a bunch of bottom feeders. The other way to go is to focus more on developing American talent and be more of a feeder league and do more of what RSL is doing or what the Red Bulls are doing. Where or San Jose. San Jose has like six super draft players on that team, and they're just
San Jose should not be an example when you just spent 6 years of your career or of your last 7 in the bottom of the league, Eric, and the only chance they had was when they had Almeida. Let me say one thing real quick before we keep going, because I think it's important to give context to anyone who wants to see some deep changes to this team. First off, the first loss with Liga MX side in 10 games. That's an impressive stat. I'm sorry, but we're not built as a team, as a league, in order to go against these guys in altitude all the time. And by the way, we won a game. We won a game at home, right? And we got knocked out in the difference. And it could have gone another way very, very easily to do that. So I do see that. Second, the team's still doing really well in league play, right? And I do believe now it's MLS Cup or bust for Mark Dos Santos. If he just, doesn't pan out, we might find another coach next year. So, but again, for everybody that's saying rehaul, change everything, oh my God, high points per game, 9, not a loss in 10 games to a Liga MX team, right? And still in control in the Western Conference. So what gives? Are we to panic, or now we have to stay the course and realize we lost to a really good team?
Look, I think, again, we didn't lose to a really good team. We got embarrassed by a really good team. And there's a big difference. If you get embarrassed by a really good team, it shows an inconsistency in your preparation and your strategy. We were exploited and made to play far worse than we actually are. And so
okay,
I don't know how you can say that this just won't happen when it comes to MLS Cup and the players decide to not get off the bus again. So that's why I think an overhaul is needed. There's a lot of guys in this roster I would move on from, and I would look at guys that specifically are going to say over the next 2 years, how are they going to play off of Son? If Son gets injured because he's older, what's our backup plan to still weather the storm until he comes back and remain competitive? I think it's a completely different profile of players that we need to pick up. And a lot of the players we have now aren't going to be able to make that profile,
Yes.
And Smolyakov and Martinez, I'll say, are two that I would like to see move this summer for them so that they can play better. I think Martinez has to go to Europe. Has to be the time right now to go to Europe. He cannot stagnate in this league. Send him to Spain. I think there's interest there, and hopefully they can make that happen. That frees up a slot. And then Artem also needs to play. It's clear that he is not favored in this system. He's a young kid. He needs minutes. Send him somewhere where he's going to play competitive soccer, and that's
all right. Yeah, no, I like that. I have to rebuttal on something you said, though. We were pushing for selling David Martinez before the tournament and how it sort of ended. And I actually changed my mind. I think we build around David Martinez with Sonny because they look like they have good chemistry together. And I'm agreeing with this guy, and he's crazy, but he's got some good points. I'm not saying we can get Raul. I don't think we can get Raul Jimenez. And if we could, we should, because it would immediately ignite the Mexican, spirit that LAFC carries within. So it would be amazing to have Raul here. But there's not a lot of Mexican players that end up in MLS. There's 3 of them. I think there's Rubalcaba and 2 dudes. Like, it's just not a lot of dudes, man. So, not Rubalcaba. Sorry, I forgot. There's 1 dude. But there's just not a lot of them playing for MLS. It's just very hard for Mexican players to play in MLS. They end up in Liga MX or outside of here if they're good enough. So, but yes, I think maybe it's time for us to find a suitor for the knee. I think there would be something that would open a lot of doors for us. And maybe find a suitor for Tim Tillman, because he's been here for a very long time. And at the same time, he's got a ceiling. He's a great player. He's a good player. He's not a great player. And sometimes I feel like he holds us back. but he's one of the best we have in terms of holding possession and actually making our midfield look and act like a midfield. So whatever moves we're going to make, there should be deep moves now, because this tweaking shit that we've been doing and working around the knee and trying to make it work with him, it's just not working. We're burning through these dudes. They're coming through the door, these marquee players, and we cannot get any momentum with this. It's crazy. So we're going to end our show very soon here, but you wanted to talk a little bit about changes. What would you like to see changed, right? We have 6 months to play. We have a World Cup break coming up, which probably going to give GMs a lot of time to think about what they've done. But what do you think? Where do you go at, if you're JT and if you're an organization, what do? Do you change course or do you stay course?
Let me, if I'm JT.
Well, if you're a JT and if you, or if you're an owner and you're in JT's ear and you're the one that's going to tell JT, this is what we need to do because it's not working, right? Wherever that chain of command looks like, we don't know exactly what LAFC's chain of command looks like. Yep. But I want to know if we stay the course and say, hey, Blip did as good as we could given the hand that we were dealt. We were a low seed team. We could not hold the second hand. We could not host the second game. You could make a lot of arguments that we basically did as much as we could with the hand that we were dealt. But do you panic or do you stay the course?
Well,
because a lot of people are panicking, Eric.
No. I don't think we panic. But again, and we've talked about, summer always seems to be the time that we see a lot of
weird summer. We got World Cup. It's a weird summer, just saying.
Yeah, no, and there's going to be a lot of new beginnings after the summer for players. I think it's going to be a busier than usual transfer market this World Cup. And I think we may even find some gems that we can bring on board. So I think we need to do a pretty big amount of roster turnover this summer, a little more than we do on average, but on average, we do a good amount of roster turnover on summer. Tillman, I would move on from. I'll say, I think Delgado, I would move on from Delgado as well. Because again, I think we need to look at right now this summer. The goal should be, what does the next 2 years of LAFC look like? Who in 2 years from now are we going to be looking at as running their course, and do I want to see Delgado here another 2 years, or Tillman here another 2 years, or Hollingshead another 2 years, or Palencia here another 2 years? I want to see our squad. I want to see some of these veterans move on.
Would you get rid of Chonier? I'd get rid of Chonier because, I think you can bring in a better player, and then you would hope that Igor Jesus is ready.
Yeah, no, and
I think Chonier has shown us that he's got a ceiling, and it's okay. It's not very good. I would not have started Chonier in this game.
No, I did either. We did. Neither of us had him in our starting lineup.
No, it was crazy. And then sometimes, and let me say something that I sometimes it bothers me, and I think there's this thing that Mark Dos Santos does that pisses me off. He surrounded himself with Canadians and these players from the Canadian national team. Steven Eustachio, Jacob Schaffelberg, the Nashville reject. I will always call him that. Jacob Schaffelberg. And then, again, Chonier, which is, I forgot what he was last. Grasshopper, is that right? I forget. But he was just, again, never great. He was good, not great. These are guys that couldn't find a pace somewhere else and ended up in our roster. And he puts them all to play at the same time, right? Steven Eustachio was hurt, but got minutes and looked terrible in this game, right? And I just couldn't understand. And the mind couldn't just comprehend what they're seeing when you see a player like Steven Eustachio trying to play, but you clearly see that he's not physically there, right? So I just feel like sometimes Mark is giving preference to these Canadian players. Meanwhile, Nathan Ordaz, Salvadorian, just sits there. David Martinez, La Joya Venezolana just sits there. So we've talked about this before, but I do believe sometimes the South American player in our roster gets overlooked. I know it's a hard criticism to make. I'm just using 2 data points that I have about guys that should have worked and should have started over the players that were next to them. But that's just a blip. I'll move on from my personal opinion on why I don't understand Mark Dos Santos likes to protect and feature Canadian players. I don't know if he's trying to audit for this job. but let's stop with the goddamn Canadian experiment. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it now. It must end. Sorry, it was a rant, Erik.
Yeah. We need to
Nate
fill
the Great looks.
We need to fill the holes with homegrown players. And let me throw the secret word out for everybody right now.
Budgie got hurt. And I think if Budgie would not hurt, we would have had more answers in midfield. Once again, I wish Budgie was sorry, Erik, because Budgie is a guy that I've been wanting to talk about. I feel like he could have given us quality minutes. A dude that looks like a playmaker, got hurt, never heard of him again. Very sad situation. And again, give us some clarity. What's going on with this dude? What's his recovery look like? What's the timetable to come back? Just gets hurt, never heard of him again. Go ahead with your feet. With your,
and he
go
looked
ahead
awesome.
With your secret word.
Boudry was like one of the most exciting new players we've had. Like, we all love what he was ragdolling. Every defender comes by, he just like tosses him 5 feet and then keeps moving with the ball. But anyways, the password, and all you Dodgers fans will appreciate this since we're playing Houston. It is Trashtros, Trashtros.
Jesus, man, you could have just said strobes or something dumb.
Trashtros. Oh, we all remember
that's a tough word. I'm gonna write it here because that's crazy.
Yeah, write it in.
I have to write
Trashtros. First one to DM me on Twitter with this.
Is this right? Oh my god,
that's it. Yeah,
that's crazy. Okay, all right. I put it out there because otherwise nobody's gonna. Yeah, guys, you want to go to the game? You want to go see? You want to go see LAFC kick ass in league play? I guarantee it's gonna be a 4-0 win because that's what we do. I don't foresee any sort of hangover. They're gonna want to basically put up a show and say, "Hey, we're back, baby. Don't even worry about this loss." Again, pane circis. If you're a Latin guy, that means bread and circus. Bring everybody in. Put some entertainment together, and we will forget about this loss, buddy. It's just CCL. Who cares? Leagues Cup. Let's talk about that real quick. What is Leagues Cup? Is Leagues Cup basically like our answer as MLS to basically say, hey, this shit that you guys play, the CCL thing, we're never going to win it. But Leagues Cup, yes, you can win it.
No.
What is going on?
After yesterday, Leagues Cup feels like Garber is pissing on me and telling me it's rain.
I just feel like if we won Leagues Cup this year, I'll be like, yay, high five. And I would not even acknowledge that next year. But of course, we want to win titles. Of course, we want to win titles.
The most valuable thing with Leagues Cup are 3 entries to CCC. But Liga MX obviously only needs like 2 or 3 entries to win the whole tournament. Like, they could give MLS 12 entries to CCC, and look what happens. We don't even make the final.
We cannot beat 3 teams in a row. Someone brought it up that we did it in 2020, and that's amazing. And
we did it in 2020.
We beat 3 Liga MX teams and lost to the 4th. So that was a great example of, it can be done. And it was done in 2020. 5 years later, 6 years, excuse me. 6 years later, no MLS team can beat 3 Liga MX teams. So if you think about the Liga, the league is evolving. The league is evolving, but yet in 6 years, we cannot have a new representative in the finals. We had a Columbus last year. Columbus got trashed by Pachuca. Now, I'm happy Toluca is going to host the final. I'm happy Toluca is going to hold the final. First off, excellent display of fandom. They look like they were dialed in. Their tifo was terrifying. I was fucking scared when I saw that thing. I was like, oh, damn. This thing ain't a tifo. This is a warning. This is a warning. And Mark Dos Santos, as who was it? Dodger Gus told me, looked like that cradled angel in the devil's arms. And they had no answer for it. All right, last words for you. I got to pick up my children. They're going to close the school. But tell me, Erik, how you feeling for the rest of the season, buddy? It's your last parting words here for your Trash Throws giveaway. Before your Trash Throws giveaway goes live.
Yeah. Well, it's live. Who's DM me now? First one to DM is going to get them. I'm
get those tickets.
Nobody's hit me yet.
But, I know. Maybe people are not like in LA, so that's why I wish you had done it early.
True,
but give it more days. Give it more days. Don't give them away right away. Don't give them away live, right? Maybe more people will watch this broadcast. We'll hit you up later. So maybe do it tomorrow or something like that since you're not giving it away.
No.
Again, just trying to get more people to be in.
If somebody watches this tomorrow on the 8th, You may as well send it to me because who knows?
I agree with
Maybe
you.
you'll be the first. So if you're watching this after the fact, better send me trash shows, and you might be the one to win it. But
That's it. That's it. By
anyways,
that.
so what am I looking
Crazy,
for?
man.
What I'm looking forward to now is this team trying to figure out what their identity is. We were thrown into CCC this year, and it's really dominated everything. I want to see more minutes from Jude Terry. I want to see more minutes from Matt Evans. I'd like to see Kenny Nielsen with more minutes. And let's see if we can roll these guys into starters, they become instant hacks on the salary cap because as homegrown players, they do not count against the salary cap, which means we spend more money in other positions. And Sonny needs more people there. I hope that Bouanga finds the right place for him to go to finish his career, hopefully in Brazil or somewhere with a beautiful beach and a glamorous lifestyle, because I will always be thankful for what he's done for our club. I just think the Son era is here, and we need a DP that's going to play very well with Son. Like Jimenez would be a great one, but somebody who's going to play good with Son, and maybe even another third DP. Maybe we get like two DPs that JT drops 15 million a piece, and we get some real quality guys in there, and we go through and we can consider winning the cup, and we get good leadership and all that. But that's what I hope to see. Until then, I want to see the kids get some minutes. Don't sell the next Bombino to San Diego. Keep him here to get minutes. If we had Luca Bombino at left back, imagine how much different last night could have been.
Oof. And, famous last words of this episode. Unbelievable comment. And I agree with you. I think a lot of work to do for this organization. You and I signed up to be fans early on. So here we are. We're doing it through the good and the bad, por las buenas y las malas. It's the way we do it. And we're going to continue to cover this team no matter what, no matter how big the environment or small, like MLS. We're here. MLS regular season, we're going to cover it. Is there a game to cover it? We're going to be there. I've been away from the stadium a little bit, but I'm happy to announce I was accepted as credential media for the World Cup. So I'm announcing this for the first time on air here too. And I know it's been a lot of work to get there. And we're going to continue to cover soccer, not only in the United States, but for the Brazilian audience as well. Everything is happening here. Very happy to continue this work, and it would not be possible without Erik, first off, which has been my mate in all things football, and also all of you that actually follow me, not only on X, I actually put the show on X today, but also here on Section 128. It's been a pleasure doing this episode with you guys, and now our second season. It's been a marathon, man, like this 2-a-week thing. It's been crazy to me, but it's been fun as well.
Thank you for everybody who keeps coming back every week. Alex Falla.
Alex, you're the man. You guys are awesome. You know, again, appreciate you guys always showing up and putting comments out there. It's unbelievable how much the chat actually keeps the show going. So if you guys are here, we appreciate you. And I'll tell you this, Erik, if you're up for it, we can keep the show rolling through the World Cup break. I don't know how many people would watch it, but there's plenty of football to watch and plenty to talk about. So if you're up for it, we're going to be watching it. We might as well talk about it, right? We'll see. We'll see. Maybe not every week.
Yeah.
Maybe not twice a week, but it's just been good. Good momentum. And it's weird that we're just not going to have MLS for like a month and a half. It's just kind of wild. And we go into an abridged season, right? And then everything is going to change from a calendar standpoint really soon. So lots going on, crazy shit on the pipe, and stay tuned. I appreciate you being here. Subscribe if you haven't, and we're gonna get out of here. Otherwise, they're gonna give my kids away, brother.
And we'll see you all 5 p.m. Pacific Monday after the Houston game, always. And we'll talk about our 5-0 thrashing and how LAFC is back. Yay!
And how we look like we're back, and are we back, baby? But it's important. It's important that we really get out of this. And think about the fact that if you do well in regular season, yes, it's stupid to get the damn whatever the supporter shield, but it gets you to play at home during the final. And playoff games and hosting them is one of the most important things we could do for our fans who are hurting after yet another shitty showing from our club. We'll see you guys. It's been a pleasure. Section 128 will be back on Monday.